Can one of you please confirm you are able to view my desktop?
Yes, Hari, we are able to view it.
Sure, thank you. Good morning all. Once again, this is Hari Krishna Gadipi from the Women Who Code Hyderabad RISE core program team. Welcome to the session 3 of training. So we'll just quickly spend some time on the objective, mission, etc. with respect to Women Who Code. So these programs are being hosted from the Women Who Code Hyderabad chapter. And when it comes to the mission of Women Who Code, basically like it's all about like supporting the women to make career progression in the IT sector and to inspire women to excel in career technologies. And the mission of Women Who Code is a world where diverse women are better represented as engineers and tech leaders. And for any particular platform, there will be a code of conduct. And even for Women Who Code, we have the code of conduct, and we request all the participants and all the members to adhere to the code of conduct. And as I declared in the very beginning, this is being hosted through the Women Who Code Hyderabad chapter, to which you have already enrolled. So prior to getting started with the actual session, we would like to understand, are there any questions with respect to the session 1 and session 2 that we have hosted? We know like there are certain participants who have enrolled at a later point of time. And as we declared, we are going to host a separate single session for them to bring them up to the speed with respect to whatever the topics that we have covered. So any questions, I request the audience to be interactive and engage themselves into the active learning. Any kind of questions that they have with respect to the topics we have covered so far, me and Vishalakshi. If not, we are going to go ahead and shoot out the questions. So can someone please help us understand between quality assurance and quality control? What exactly is the difference between quality assurance and quality control? You can just unmute and speak. There is no right or wrong answer. You can just try to explain the concepts in your own words. Any one of you? See, we all are together for a collective learning. Don't be hesitant. There is nothing right or wrong. We want it to be as interactive as possible. We don't want to be like a one-side session where we are just keep on feeding you and we are not sure like how you are receiving it. Please go ahead. Please open up. I see Shweta, Srilakshmi, Jensi, Joshna. Please go ahead and unmute yourself and can you please explain?
Can I speak?
Yeah, definitely. Please go ahead.
Quality assurance means standard process we need to follow.
Good.
It is process oriented, and quality control means validation. That means identifying the defects and fixing. This is done by the tester.
Great. Thank you. Anyone would like to add? Okay. You can go through the material and express yourself. That's fine. It's not just an exam actually. We just want it to be as interactive as possible. And what are the different kinds of costs that we discussed in the previous session? Okay. No one would like to really discuss about that.
Prevention cost.
Okay.
And failure cost. Yeah.
Okay. Great. I hope like everyone got time to go through the material that we have sent across. I suggest like until and unless you put your time, definitely like you won't be able to really cope up with the content that we are covering. So we request everyone to be interactive and at the same time go through the content that we have already shared post completion of each session. Okay. So with that, we are good to get started with session 3 for testing. So first we'll try to discuss like what are the different types of softwares. So in the previous session, we just discussed, right, like there are at a high level 2 different types of software: system software and as well as like application software. So can someone give me an example of system software? What does software stands for?
For example, like Microsoft Windows, which allows us to start using the computer.
Great. Yes, it's the operating system. Okay, thank you. Okay, and what is the example of an application software?
The applications we are using, that MS Word, Excel, PowerPoint
Great.
presentation,
Yes.
browsers.
Correct. Yes. So any kind of software at a high level, what we did is like we classified it into two categories. One is system software and the other one is application software. And as someone rightly said, like system software is something which basically deals with the system, the operating system or any kind of software that deals with the devices of the system, etc. And when it comes to the application software, any kind of software that is built to meet any particular requirement or any functionality that we would like to achieve using this software. Okay. And before we deliberate into further details of the methodology of the software development, I thought let's look into some of the concepts that would really help us in understanding what we are trying to learn here. So when it comes to software, there are different types of applications actually. So if you look into this system software, application software itself, again, they can be also categorized into a different mechanism. And they are like desktop applications, web applications, and mobile application. So when you say desktop application is nothing but you just simply install some kind of software on your laptop or on your desktop. And you just open that software and start using it. For example, you have the Microsoft PowerPoint, Microsoft Word, which can be classified under this particular category. And when it comes to the web, so when web application means what you are going to do is you just simply open up a browser, and in that browser, we will provide a URL. That is basically like, for example, just take the Gmail or you take any other application which works on the web technologies, www.gmail.com. So this will take you to the Gmail application. And similarly, when we say like mobile is nothing but same the desktop version of the application. It will be customized and it will be built in such a way that that particular application works on the mobile phone, all our smartphones. So the best example is most of you might be already using WhatsApp and as well as Uber and Ola. So all these applications, you simply go to Google Play Store and get it download from the mobile, right, on your smartphones. So these are all applications, they are called as mobile apps. Okay. And the other terminology which we need to understand is a thick client and a thin client. So when we say thick client is nothing but if we are using an application through the web interface, then it can be called as a thick client. Through the desktop, then it is called as a thick client. And when we use an application using the web, then it is called as a thin client. So are we good with respect to the different terminologies that we come across as part of our course? Any questions, thoughts, suggestions? Hello? Yeah, please go ahead.
What is thin client?
Thin client means like your web application itself. For example, Gmail, Yahoo, any application that you can access through your browser. So we have different browsers, right? Internet Explorer, Chrome, Firefox. So using these browsers, we just open up the URL. For example, www.gmail.com. So this is a thin client. Thick client means your Word application. You go to the Microsoft software on your desktop or your laptop. You browse to that, and then you will open up the application. Your Excel, your PowerPoint, or any kind of application that get installed on your desktop or on your laptop, and then you just simply open that software and start using it. That can be categorized as the clients. Okay. Are we good with this?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Any further questions with respect to the terminologies that we just discussed? Okay, if not, so now we try to understand like what is software, what is hardware, and what are the different types of softwares at a high level, their classification, and what are the different kinds of applications that can be built using the software. So at the end of the day, whatever the component or the functionality that we want to build, they will be fitting in any of these three categories. It could be a desktop application, or it could be a thin client, which you can access through the web, or it could be a mobile application. Okay. Now, when we want to build any kind of application, either it could be a system application, or it could be application software, a product like Microsoft Word, Excel, or a application like your Gmail, or any kind of online applications that you use for shopping, any application or any product, anything within the software that you would like to build, they need to follow a process, and that process is used for developing the software. Okay, and that process is known as software development life cycle. So you take an analogy of human life cycle itself. We take birth, and then we go for our schooling, and after our schooling, like again, like we enter into our midlife, and then like finally we exit. So similarly, with respect to the software development life cycle also, we have a similar analogy. We have something known as the planning, and then we will define it, we will design it, we will build it, we will test it, and then finally we will deploy it. Okay. So in the planning phase is where like we'll try to get the requirements, and then we'll try to understand like what are the different functionalities that we are going to build for this particular software or the application or the product. And then we'll define like how we are going to build, and then we'll design. Okay, as part of the design, the different things will come into picture, which we are going to dig into deeper, like high level design, low level design, etc. And then we'll build it. Build is nothing but the actual code. Like I will just take an example. Like you want to build an application which will simply result, which will simply give you the output of addition of two numbers. So I want some software where I am building a user interface which gives me the result of addition of two numbers. Okay. For that, what I need to do is like I need to plan for that. Okay, how do I build that? And then I need to define that. Okay, where exactly I need to build this component. I need to design for that particular functionality, and then I need to actually code it. And when I code it, actually, there are different kinds of tools or technologies that are available for building this code. And then finally, it will be tested. So that's where like the tester's role is going to be critical. The testers are going to test the code that has been built by the developer, and finally it will be deployed in the production environment. That's from where the actual end users are going to use this product, and then it will be maintained. Providing support to that particular product or to that application or service. Okay. So any questions with respect to this? What does it really means the software development life cycle, and what are the different things that are involved, or the different actions that will be taken care as part of the software development life cycle? I request you to be interactive. If you have any questions, please shoot out, or else like if you're good, please confirm on that.
It's good, Hari. We can proceed further.
Sure, thank you. Okay. And then like we'll also discuss about the architectures of the software. So when whatever the applications that we are going to develop, either they can be in different tiers. So when we say tier is nothing but it is classification of the application as per the architecture. So when we say like 2-tier, it is like there are two things. One is the client and the other one is the server. And when we say 3-tier, there are three components to it. One is the client, the application, and the other one is database. Hey, I request if you are not speaking, please go on mute. Sure, thank you. So these are the different tiers of software architecture. This is very much important. You know, you need to understand like any component when it is built in the software, it definitely like it is taken with a reference to any kind of architecture. Based on that architecture itself, it will be built. Okay, quickly moving on. Now we understood like what exactly is a software development life cycle. And now we'll try to discuss the various methodologies. Hello?
Hello, Hari, can you please repeat again the software architecture, if you don't mind?
Yeah, sure. See, we discussed about the different types of applications, right?
Yeah.
First, we try to understand like within the software, using the software, what exactly we are going to build. Either it could be a system software or it could be an application software. And then we try to understand what are the different types of applications that can be developed. It could be a desktop application, it could be a web application, or it could be a mobile application. So any kind of application that you want to build using a software, definitely like they need to follow some kind of architecture. And when we look into the architecture, predominantly like in the initial periods of the software development, we were using the 2-tier architecture. So when we say the 2-tier architecture, what happens is like there will be a client and then there will be a server. The client is going to send across the request, and then the server will process the request, and then it will send across the response. Like for example, I took the example, right? Addition of two numbers, 5 plus 6, that is equivalent to 11. This is the application which I would like to build. Now, what I will do is like I will open some interface and I will input these two numbers, 5 as well as 6. Now it will hit the database or the server, and the server is going to process that request and send back the response. The outcome is 11. So here there are only two components involved. One is the client, which is going to put the request, and then the server is there. The server is going to process that request and send back the response to the client. So this is a 2-tier architecture. Now let's assume like if I extend it to a 3-tier architecture. So in 3-tier architecture, we introduced an additional component. So what is that additional component is, apart from the client server, there will be a database. And similarly, like we can extend it to entire. It's all nothing but we are just trying to introduce more layers with respect to our architecture to ensure that whatever the kind of functionality that we are building, it meets certain non-functional requirements like performance, etc. So that is the reason we have n number of tiers. So what happens is like if you build application in one single component, it becomes bulky and it won't be able to handle all that functionality on its own. So what we are trying to do here is like split it according to the specialization of that particular functionality and use an appropriate component for that. So in the 3-tier architecture, what's going to happen is that the client will be there. It will send across the request. The server is going to process that request and then it will store it. And tomorrow, like when you want to use it, you can definitely query the database and get the response. So here we have an additional layer, that is the database layer. Okay, does that help, Aruna?
Yes, Hari. Thank you.
Okay.
Hari, can you give example like, for 2-tier, you gave an example of 5 plus 6. Like that for 3-tier, if you can give.
Yeah, for 3-tier also, it's the same thing. Actually, it's just that an additional component is being introduced here. The database is being introduced here. Instead of like, see like in the 2-tier, here like we have the application component introduced in the 3-tier actually. in the two-tier of the first diagram, what we are discussing is like, if you have worked with some DB client, you just simply go ahead and run some query, and then it will hit the backend database server and it will provide you the response. But here in the three-tier, we have an application layer. That application layer is responsible for some kind of processing, and that is where like the three-tier is going to be helpful for us.
Okay.
Okay. So basically, it's like based on the functionality, we are just trying to use additional components so that it will help us in meeting or in designing the application and its functionality in such a way that it helps us to improve the performance. And also, not only performance, there are many other requirements which will be taken care when we design a application using the various architectures. Like it could be system security, etc. Okay. Does that helps?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Now quickly moving on. So the first one, like at least in the very beginning, I think like most of us might have already read in our curriculum also, the waterfall model. So the waterfall model is a simple model. Maybe like I'm not sure about the origin, but definitely like at least from last few decades, we have been using the waterfall model. So in the waterfall model, what we are going to do is like we are going to do the development of an application or a component or a software using a phase-wise manner. So there are various different phases which are part of the waterfall model. The first one is requirement analysis, and then followed by the system design, and then followed by the implementation, testing, deployment, and maintenance. So whatever we discussed in the previous slide, the SDLC lifecycle, this is very much aligned to that. So first one, the example is like, for example, you take that same example of addition of two numbers. So the client wants to develop a kind of application which will help him to add two numbers and provide the output. This is the client's requirement. So what we are going to do is like we are going to collect the requirements of the client using a document known as software requirement specification document. So that document would be helpful for us to collect the requirements. And once the requirements are collected, what we are going to do is the system designing. Okay, now that the requirements are in place, how do we go ahead and design that system which is going to help the client to achieve this functionality? Now, in my example, it was like addition of two numbers. So it's a simple calculation or functionality. So that's where like we'll do the design of the how this functionality would be working. And then when it comes to the implementation, we will actually code implementation or build. What exactly is that we are going to do is like we will build that functionality. So in our case, I just took an example, addition of two numbers. So I can implement it using various programming languages. It could be C, C++, Java, Scala, .NET, whatnot. Any kind of tool or technology using which we would like to achieve this application functionality that is called as building that functionality. Any question with respect to the first three concepts, requirement analysis and design, and then the build or the implementation?
We are fine with it.
Okay, thank you. And then like once the actual functionality is built, as we discussed in our earlier sessions, so whatever you build, the developer builds, it will not simply go ahead and stick it in the production environment. It needs to be tested, and it needs to be tested across the environments. And then finally, it needs to go ahead and get deployed in one environment known as the production environment. So production environment is nothing but it is the actual environment from where the end users are going to consume the application. And there will be separate teams for maintaining that application in the production environment. And that is the last phase of the waterfall model, which is basically the maintenance phase. So it's a simple analogy where exactly what we are going to do is like we are going to do it in a phased manner. We'll just collect the requirements, we'll develop it, we'll test it, we will deploy it, and then we'll try to maintain it over a period of time. So can anyone help me here in understanding, like, what do you feel like, what are the advantages or what are the disadvantages of this waterfall model?
Yeah, one of the disadvantages that I can think of is probably it could be time consuming. However, advantage can be the errors, the percentage or the errors will be much lesser or much lesser.
Okay.
And various, so a lot of resources will be used at different phases.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Any other thing which someone would like to add?
The disadvantage. Yeah. You continue.
One more disadvantage I think is if once the requirement is fixed, we cannot change the requirement.
Yep,
And,
you're right.
I guess this waterfall model is suitable for small projects.
Okay.
And because if you go for like a complex project where the requirement changes frequently, so I guess that will be the disadvantage for this model.
Yes, great.
One can be that before completion of previous step, we cannot go ahead because there is overlapping not available with this, or two simultaneous process cannot be done at one time.
Great. Yes, that's most critical point actually. Yes. Anything else? Okay, whatever you all said, it's a summary. So basically, like the main disadvantage with respect to waterfall model is like our 5-year plan. So what we are going to do is like for the entire project requirement itself, we are going to do these things: requirement analysis, system design, implementation, testing, and deployment. So for example, my functionality in the very beginning when I started the project was, actually, I'm looking out for the whiteboard. I'm not sure I'm unable to get it. I thought like I will draw something. Okay. So we got started, right? We thought like our application functionality is very simple, addition of 2 numbers. But tomorrow what happened is like I would like to enhance it. I have some other functionality also, which is very much business critical to me. For example, subtraction of 2 numbers, 10 minus 5. So it should give me the output as 5. So this functionality also I would like to develop. But what happens with respect to the waterfall model is like once the requirements are frozen, there is a little scope for addition of any functionality. So that's it. We'll just say like, okay, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. These are the four functionalities which you would like to include. And that's where like we'll take a sign off from the clients and say, okay, this is what you have requested us, and we are going to get started. And the actual implementation will get started with the design and then the build. And then finally it will move on to testing and deployment. Now let's assume that, okay, I wanted to add a 5th functionality apart from this. So what we'll do is like raise a change request, because we have already frozen our requirements in the very beginning of the project being kick-started. So this will be something which is not already covered as part of your requirement specification. So hence we will ask him to raise a change request. And then again, like they will say like, okay, this is the 5th functionality which you would like to include. Can you please help on this? Then again, we are going to do the same process for them for the new functionality. And it will be like the same lengthy process. So the main disadvantages with respect to waterfall model is like it is sequential. It goes step by step. Okay, first close the phase 1, requirement collection. Next, close the phase 2, design. Next, close the phase 3, build. Close the phase 4, testing. And then finally, deploy. Okay. And then it will not accommodate any kind of enhancements or changes while once it is like frozen. So it's like, for example, if there is anything which comes into picture at a later point of time, it will be again treated as a change request or a new enhancement or a new feature, which we won't be able to accommodate as part of the current release. Any questions in understanding the waterfall model?
My question is like, once the requirement is frozen, so again we need to repeat the whole thing, like if we need any changes.
Yeah, generally what happens is like there will be a process known as change request process. As I gave an example, you got 4 functionalities: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And tomorrow you wanted to add a 5th functionality. So we already have frozen the requirement and we have deployed the product. The product is currently in the production and it is being already used by the clients or the end user. But after 3 months or 6 months, you came and you said like, okay, I want a new feature. Then it will be treated as a change request. So it's like a new functionality which you are requesting apart from whatever we have discussed and took a sign off from the client. So again, the same thing needs to be done with respect to the new functionality. 5th functionality: requirement analysis, design, implementation, testing, and deployment. Does that help?
Yeah, Hari, thank you.
No.
What we are going to do in maintenance? Hari?
Maintenance is nothing but you just take an example. You bought in AAC or you bought in a TV. Okay, that is the end product. Okay. And once you start using, tomorrow, for example, you are facing some issue with respect to that product, what you are going to do, you will just give a call to the customer care, and the customer care guys are going to help you with the support engineer. The support engineer will work on your issue and they will fix it. So the similar analogy, your product or your application will be working in the production environment. Okay. And tomorrow you face some issue. For example, in our application example, we have 4 different functionalities, right? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, etc. Tomorrow, when you wanted to use that additional functionality, instead of like 5 plus 5, which is equivalent to 10, it is giving 6. Okay. So it is like some kind of bug, right? So what you will do, you will reach out to the production support team. And then like they will engage it and then they will try to look into the functionality.
Okay, thank you.
This is just a simple example I gave. It's not that it's going to happen, but this is just a simple example. Any kind of issues or any kind of functionality breakages, any kind of break fix that happens with respect to the application or the software in the actual production environment where the clients or the end users are going to use that component, that will be taken care and it will be supported by a group. And it could be like there are a number of groups again, like with respect to the terminology, application production support, infrastructure production support, etc. Okay.
Thank you, Hari.
Sure. Okay. Quickly moving on. Now, in the very beginning, like when we started our journey with respect to the software development, we were quite happy with the waterfall model. So all the things were done sequentially in a phased manner, and the projects were going on good. But over a period of time, as we have evolved, what it has been found is like the way the client requirements are coming up and the way the software components are being developed, the projects or it could be an application that are being developed, they are not in sync, they are out of sync. There are certain issues, as we discussed in the previous slide, there are certain disadvantages that were found in the waterfall model. So in that waterfall model, there are certain disadvantages, and that's wherein the agile methodology have come into picture. So what does, can someone explain what does agile means actually in plain English terms?
Yeah, it is like dynamic or very active or with lot of energy.
Right. Yeah, right. So we are not going to dig deeper into like agile philosophy, agile values, and all that jargon. Just we'll try to understand like what does agile means, and then like we are also planning to host a separate session for all the participants of all these 3 tracks, probably a 1-hour session to take a deeper dive into the agile methodology, because that is very much critical in the market right now. Most of the projects they are currently using the agile methodology. Okay. So what happens in the agile methodology is there will be iterations. So what we are going to do is like the similar analogy what I am going to take up. We'll get started with the project. There are 4 functionalities: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Okay. So instead of like building out all the total functionality in one shot, we'll ask the client, what is your priority? Okay. The client said, no, my priority is multiplication. I want the multiplication functionality to be available as my first priority. Okay. So what we are going to do is like, we'll work on the multiplication functionality itself. And the entire team is going to put in their efforts on that particular functionality. And they will develop and then they will release. The client is happy, he will be using that. Now let's say like we'll move on and then we'll ask, okay, what is your next priority? Now I want the addition and as well as the subtraction to be added. So that's wherein like again, the team will get started. They will work on the certain functionalities which the end user or the client has requested. So what we did using the agile is, using the agile methodology, we are just trying to be dynamic. We are just trying to be what you call flexible with respect to the client requirements. We are trying to be market ready. Whenever the client wants some kind of functionality, we should be ready with that. For example, let's assume that I am running a company and I wanted to develop some kind of new feature. And if I follow the waterfall model, and if let's assume that it takes 6 months for me to bring that particular feature into the market, it will be of no use. But what happens when we use the agile methodology is like we'll try to prioritize what exactly is the client requirement out of the functionalities which he would like to achieve as part of this particular software. We'll just try to prioritize it and then build that particular functionality or feature and release it to the client so that he can go ahead and readily use it. And when it comes to the agile methodology, there are different kinds of, again, like agile terms or agile frameworks which are used across in the market. Like for example, Scrum, Safe, Kanban, etc. Okay. So any questions with respect to the agile methodology? The phases are going to be the same. The only change is instead of like in a sequential manner, we are going to do it in an iterative basis. We'll just try to prioritize like what exactly the client is really looking out as part of his requested software or application. And then the same cycle of planning, requirement analysis, design, build, and testing is going to be followed. And it will be done in a shorter cycle, which are like as per the agile frameworks called in different terms. Like for example, in Scrum, it is called as sprint. Sprint is nothing but a period of time. And if you take into Safe, which is another agile framework, it is called as PI, program increment. Any questions with respect to the agile methodology? And can someone summarize like what are the advantages that they see when it comes to the agile methodology compared to like the waterfall model that we have discussed earlier?
The advantages would be flexibility.
Yep. Okay. Anything else?
As some projects can be with a short time, so this method will help you to complete within short period.
Okay, great. Anything else? Okay, to summarize, what it is basically using the agile methodology. The first thing is clients can choose what functionality they would like to go into the market in the very beginning. They can prioritize it. For example, as we said, we have four different functions: addition, subtraction, multiplication. He can choose. He will come and say like, okay, I just want these to be prioritized and all your effort should go into this. So it will be prioritized and it will be worked on. And at a later point of time, he can change his requirements. For example, instead of working on the remaining three, tomorrow client comes and says like, apart from these three, I want something new. Then we are providing him that flexibility so that he can go ahead and get started with respect to that functionality. Okay. And the other important feature is time to market. As these are short iterations, for example, in Scrum, I said like 2 weeks, and in SAFe framework, it is around 6 to 8 weeks, which is known as a PI, program increment. These are all terminologies. Don't bother about them. These are all terminologies that are used in the IT industry with respect to any kind of topic or methodology or concept that we discuss. Okay. Are we good with respect to the agile methodology and what are its benefits? And the important point is like, as I already discussed, agile methodology is widely used across the software development projects right now in the market. Waterfall, I think like it's very rarely used, at least in the recent past. Yeah, I need some kind of feedback actually. If you are good, please.
Yeah, we are okay. Hari, thanks.
Okay, sure. And we'll just try to understand like what are the different roles in an agile team. So when it comes to the agile teams, there are different roles. Like we'll have a product owner, a scrum master, and a scrum team. So we'll have the clients. Apart from that, we'll have a business owner, and then we'll also have the stakeholders on the actual business users who are going to use this product. Okay. So the product owner is like a person who will be taking up the requirements from the business clients, and then he will be communicating them to the Scrum Master and as well as the Scrum team. And then the Scrum Master is nothing but he is a coordinator. He is a moderator kind of role. Earlier we used to have project manager. For example, in the waterfall models, we used to have the project manager. But when it comes to the agile methodology, we will have someone known as a Scrum Master. So what does the Scrum Master is going to do is like he is going to be a moderator between the Scrum team and as well as the product owner, and he will be the one who is going to take care of the day-to-day routines with respect to the team functionality. And when it comes to the Scrum team itself, we'll have the developers, the business analysts, and then the testers. So I said like, for example, our client will be there, who is not depicted here. He will come to the product owner and he will say, product owner, I need these four functionalities: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Okay, the product owner will create something known as epics, and then that epics are further divided and as user stories, and then that epics and user stories, they will be moderated by the Scrum Master, and the Scrum Master is going to work along with the developer, business analyst, and tester in ensuring that whatever the features that are requested as part of this particular project, they are being developed by this development team or the Scrum team. Any questions with respect to the agile roles?
No.
Okay, sure. Thank you. I think we are good with respect to the waterfall model and agile model. With that, I would like to hand over the control to Visha. Visha, would you please go ahead? I'll stop my share.
Yeah, Hari, for 2 minutes, please put this slide itself.
Okay, sure.
Thanks, Hari. Yeah, hi all. Welcome back to today's session. Yeah, so till now we heard from Hari. Okay, before coming to SDLC, just would like to give you all a 2 minutes break. Okay, just wanted you all to recollect me. The terms like quality assurance, quality control. I know Hari has already asked you all the questions, but just trying to give you all some break from SDLC. Okay, so we heard quality assurance, and we are quality control specialists. We are not quality assurance. Quality assurance is what we are following the process, as one of our friend told in the today. And quality control, we are trying to find out the issues and why testing is important, because if any product fails, at the end of the day, it is a loss for us. We wouldn't get the profit, the amount of investment we have put after it goes into the market. If there is no sale, if the product is not being used, so we don't have any profit over there, and the rework will be there, because for that we are having different costs involved. So that's the reason we were talking about different cost in the previous session. Okay, just wanted to recap these things. Okay, now as Hari was explaining us about software development life cycle, okay, you all heard different terms, requirements. After requirements, what is the second step? Anyone? Anybody?
It is plan.
Yeah. So after requirements, we are trying to do the planning. After planning, we are trying to do the building. Then we are trying to develop it. After developing, we are trying to do the testing. After testing, we are trying to deploy the software. Okay. And in waterfall model, you saw that there is some maintenance. Okay, now the second that was software development life cycle, and I tried to add a bit of waterfall to it by adding the term called maintenance. Then later Hari explained us the most important and like the one which we are every company is using, like everywhere, wherever you go, you hear a word called agile. So Hari explained us about this agile methodology. In this agile methodology, why we are using this agile methodology? What is the benefit of using agile? Anyone?
For faster output.
Yeah, for faster output. Yeah, thank you. So, and how is it like? Is it incremental or iterative? What is the word you would define it for agile?
Iterative.
Iterative.
Okay, and Hari also gave one term for it. Okay, can anyone tell you all? Okay, one hint over there. He told safe and he told agile. So in agile we use a term, he told, and on the screen you all can get that word.
Is it Scrum?
Yeah, correct. So it is called as Scrum. And here I would like to define one more term for you all, that is sprint. Okay, every iterative that we are working on would be for 2 weeks of duration. Okay, like a waterfall and all, it was for there was no time frame defined over there. Only once we finish a particular phase, you would go for the second phase. But agile, we are not doing that way. Agile, there is a definite time frame. In that time frame, you need to complete everything. So agile, we use a term called as sprint, and this sprint is of 2 weeks of duration, and in this 2 weeks of duration, the whole life cycle of the SDLC should be completed. Okay, got it, friends? So that
Yeah.
term is called sprint. Okay, SPRINT, sprint.
Yeah, the first thing we need to be like whenever we discuss about software, the first thing is like it's all about terminology actually. For example, you are in Rome and you would like to to be local around that. For example, you are in a place. Just take an example of like you are in North India. So definitely you need to be aware of speaking in Hindi, or else like it may not be really helpful for you to communicate. So the same way, if you want to be in the IT industry, the most critical part is like you should be aware of the terminology, the jargon that is built around that. So either you call it as sprint or you call it as program increment. It is nothing but that particular timeline. So that particular time period is being called as sprint in Scrum, and that particular time period is being called as program increment in Safe Agile. So it's at the end of the day, it's nothing but the 2 weeks of time period in Scrum is known as sprint, and the same 6 to 8 weeks of time period in Safe Agile methodology is known as program increment. Does that helps?
Yes, I think. Yeah, Hari, just another 2 more minutes. Okay, I just want to give them a few more things on Agile. Um, okay, so friends, now we understood what is a Scrum team as it is being depicted on the slide. We understood what is sprint. Okay, and Hari was also using a term called program increment. Okay, program increment. So whenever a requirement is being gathered, the
Hello.
product owner is a person. Yeah, sorry. Anybody, any question, please?
అది వినిపిస్తలేదు నాకు.
Okay. Hari, am I audible, Hari?
Your volume is low, Vishal. Can you be a bit louder?
Yeah, sure, Hari. I'm increasing my volume. Yeah. Is it clear, Hari, now? Am I audible?
Audible, but the volume is low. Maybe like you need to speak a bit louder, Vishalakshmi.
Okay. Yeah, sure, Hari. Okay. Okay. Hari, now little bit fine. I'm trying to put the mic very closer and speak.
Yeah, to some extent, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Fine. So, friends, I was trying to tell you all, the Scrum team is being shown on the slide. We spoke about what is a sprint. Now, I would like to introduce a term called program increment. Actually, Hari has already given us the term about it, but just reiterating for understanding purpose once again. So, program increment. Program increment is a word that defines like a product owner will try to gather the information and he's trying to define the work for a particular quarter. Okay, for a particular quarter means 3 months. For 3 months, what are the activities, what are the stories that the team has to do? So in the program increment, what we will do is like all the teams. Okay, all the teams in the sense, for example, only understand this one Scrum team. Usually we'll have many Scrum teams. Okay, I will come to that later on. Let me explain you all about one small thing, then we'll join all the boxes together. Okay, now one Scrum team will have over here you are able to see 5. It can be 5 or maximum of 6 to 7. Okay, so minimum is 5, one tester and whatever is shown over here. Now what I want to tell you all is nothing but product owner will get the requirements, and those requirements on a high level, it is called as epics. Okay, Hari has already told about us epics and features. From features, they are being put into smaller requirements called as stories. Usually olden days we used to hear the word called as requirements. Now in agile terminology we call them as stories. It's a story. means it's a small requirement. So first comes your epic. Epic is nothing but a big requirement. Okay, a big requirement in the sense, for example, the whole shopping application is a requirement. That is a epic. Okay, now in that we did not define anything. Then slowly features come into it. Features in the sense, okay, I want a section for women's. I want a section for kids. I want a section for jewelry. So all these are nothing but features. Another example is like mathematics is a full epic. I'm taking Hari's example only. Mathematics is an epic for you. Features are addition, subtraction, multiplication. When it comes to a more story, I will tell the product owner, the product owner will tell, first try to develop a symbol called as plus. That would be a small story. They will try to do it a plus, and then he will tell, okay, give two numbers and try to see if addition is working. So small stories. In addition, there will be again multiple things. Then he will tell, I want three-digit addition. Then carry over. So like that, small stories come into picture. So now, friends, if I'm in faster pace, please let me know. And second thing is, I want you all to understand what is sprint, what is epic, what is the feature, what is a story. Till are these clear, friends?
Yes, we are clear.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So now I'm going back to program increment. So in program increment, they have defined only epic and feature. Stories are just on a high level. Some it will not be very detailed. They will only come up with some one-liner. Okay, so all the team members will sit together. The product owner will give it to first business analyst, and then even the whole team also will be available. Okay, so he will give all the requirements. In program increment, he is trying to define an quarter. In quarter, what are the three iterations that you need? Two iterations. A particular quarter, we can do two iterations. So in those two iterations, what is the work that we are going to do? And in that particular PI meeting, we call it as a program increment meeting. It would be a 3-day mm, 3-day plan where they will all come together. They will sit together and they will understand what are the stories that we need to do, what are the risks that are going to come, what are the mitigations that we need to do. If somebody is going on leave, can I achieve this particular task? If there are two testers and one tester is going on leave, and there is one developer who's developing, but we need to finish two of the stories, and it's only 2 weeks of time. In 2 weeks of time, you need to do everything. You need to understand the requirements, you need to do the planning, the developer has to do the development, we need to complete the testing, we need to give a sign off. In between, we also have checkpoints also. I will go on it in in detail, but as of now, understand, in this 2 weeks of duration, we need to do whole SDLC process. Complete product should be demoed to the end customer, that is to the UAT business partner. Okay, so there might be many risks. So we need to understand what are the risks involved in it. So we need to mitigate them. So what we do is like, before giving the product for testing, before the team starting their work on the requirement, that is a 3-day program. We call it as a program increment. We will sit in that program with all the teams together, with the developers, testers, and they will try to come up. Okay, these are the requirements we are going to do. This is our capacity planning. Capacity planning is nothing but how much capacity I have to work. Okay, I am going on leave for 2 days. I have only 2 days of capacity. So that is nothing but capacity planning. And we also give, there's something called as story points. Okay, the product owner will be defining, team, you all need to do this addition in this particular sprint one. So you need to give your estimates. It is a one pointer story for me. One pointer story in the sense, it is a 1-day task. Okay, actually agile is a very big process, but we are trying to give you all few definitions so that you understand the terms. So I have introduced 2 more terms for you all called as story points. It's also called velocity. The second and the other term I called out is like I told you story points, velocity, capacity planning. Capacity planning means how much bandwidth you have, how many days you are going on vacation, what is your actual capacity of doing the work. Whereas velocity and story points is how much time you require to complete that task. So before the product owner giving you the task itself, he will ask team, come up with your story points. Tell me your velocity. That means as a team, you all need to sit together. It's not we tester alone do it. It's the developer, the business analyst, and the tester and the scrum master. Everybody will sit together and we will define and we will give our story points. Scrum master is nothing but, as Hari has told, he is similar to a project manager in our waterfall method. He is a moderator. He will not do any of the tasks, testing or development or anything. He is a person who is a facilitator, who will be facilitating the requirements from the product owner to the team, the developer and the tester. If there are conflicts in the team, like the tester and the developer are not on the same page, then the scrum master responsibility in order to see that the team is on the same page and the requirement is being delivered successfully at the end of the sprint. So understood the role of a scrum master. Okay. Did you all get it, friends? Like what are the roles of a scrum master?
Yes, Vishalakshi. Yeah.
Okay, fine. So we have defined the product owner is for gathering the requirement, and he will also in between at the end of the release and all, he's a person who will also review the acceptance criteria and all. I will define acceptance criteria. Would like to add one more thing over here. In Agile, all the team members needs to be cross-trained. See, friends, over here we are all learning testing. Okay, but in this new modern technology, like we shouldn't be wearing a hat of only a tester. Okay, we also need to be cross-trained in the sense little bit of development. When a developer is going on leave, that is expected. But as of now, I know we are all learning testing. So this is our first step. Okay, the baby is putting the first initial step for testing. Once in 1 or 2 years you can slowly go towards technologies such as Java and all, but in agile world there is nobody called QA or a QC specialist needs to do only testing. In agile world, a developer should also do testing. Developer cannot say I will not do testing, because it's a 2 week of sprint. So the developer, the tester, everybody should work together. End of the day they say I need the product, I don't know who is developing, who is testing. There is no specific hat that I'm only a developer, I am only a tester. So everybody works as a team over here. Okay, so that is the responsibility of the team in agile methodology.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to add, Vishal, like to whatever you explained, a couple of other two terms which we frequently use in the IT industry. So they call it as like fungible resources, cross-functional resources. So fungible means, as we are trying to explain, anyone can take up any job. The developer can perform as a tester. The tester can also do the development. So it's like they are skilled in such a way that they can fill in each other's role. Yeah. Please go ahead, Vishal.
Sorry. So friends, do not worry that we are learning testing and all. As I told you, it's initial step that we are putting in. We are trying to go ahead with testing. Slowly, we will be learning some development tools also. Okay. Fine. So now we understood about agile and the 3-day process, like everything they will define. This is a requirement, this is the velocity that the team has. They will deliver 2 stories after sprint 1. After sprint 2 they will deliver another 2 stories. So this is what is the PI planning. After PI planning we are working on the sprint and all. Would like to tell one thing. When the developer is developing, first developer tester, everybody will do the analysis. Okay, before doing the analysis, the product owner will give you all the requirements. There is a term called grooming. Okay, in agile there are few terms, few more terms. Okay, you just another 2 minutes we'll finish off these terms. Okay, so grooming means the same English term only over here, but here what they're telling is they are trying to make us understand what is the requirement. Grooming session is nothing but the product owner along with the scrum master will sit with us and the BA, and they will give a grooming, means making us understand what is the requirement. And then after the grooming, in the grooming session, once they tell the requirement, we need to give the story points. I told you all in PI planning we'll give the story points, but over there we are giving only high level. We are not giving in detail because they are all at a feature level. It will not be a detailed story level. When it comes to a sprint, the story will be detailedly given to you. That means the product owner will tell, okay, for this sprint I want only 2 numbers addition. Okay, previously at the feature level he told addition is my feature. Okay, now he's telling, okay, I want only 2 number addition in sprint 1. So this sprint 1 I will tell my capacity is 1 day, 1 story point, velocity is 1 story point. So within 1 day we can finish, I'm telling, but the developer says I need 1 day, so total story points is 2 story points. So we will finish off this in this sprint, the addition of 2 numbers. Okay, so I told you all grooming is nothing but the product owner explains the requirement, we give the exact velocity, how much time we require. See, you all might be telling, Visha, if it is only we are telling now, but later on if it takes more time and all, no problem at all. Usually slowly we have to learn to give the exact velocity that is required, and there are different methods. They call it as a poker method and all. Usually Fibonacci series that you all can search on the Google and all. Fibonacci series, poker point, how to give the velocity things. But as of now we will cover that. For every story we give some points called as story points, based on like how much time we are taking. That is the estimation. Just go to Google and write estimation techniques in Agile. Okay, then you all will come to know. Like one of them I would tell, like we all play cards. That is called poker method in Agile. Okay, so the developer will have 1 card, the tester will have 1 card, the business analyst will have 1 card. Okay, so if I tell addition I need 1 day, developer might tell I need only half a day. So it depends like how many he will raise that card. I need only 0.5 days and I will raise 1 day. So what the product owner will choose is like who's having the majority. Okay, like if 2 people are having one, then he will tell, okay, this story requires 1 day, it is not half a day. So the majority will be picked up. This is called poker estimation. Okay, I told you one of the estimation technique now. So this is how we give the story points. In grooming only we do this estimation. After grooming is done, we come to our desk and we again start. Developer will be starting his analysis again, and he will try to come up with his logic. Tester will start creating his test cases. That is planning phase. Both of them simultaneously. Both of them are working. Okay, parallelly, like the developer is doing the development, tester is doing the testing part, or not testing, he's trying to plan the test cases. Okay, developer, once he develops a logic, what he will do is like he will give a demo. That is called as a checkpoint call. In that checkpoint call, we show it to the business analyst and the UAT specialist, that this is what we have developed, is your requirement satisfying. Before giving to the tester itself, developer is trying to finish his unit testing and give a checkpoint call to the business. Okay, that is why we are using Agile, because there it's being all there will be no requirement gap at all. So one way we are trying to prevent the gaps over here. Okay, so the once checkpoint call is completed successfully, then they will give it to tester to test it. Tester also will be involved in the checkpoint call. Now tester will be fully aware. Okay, this is how they develop the UI. I'm able to see it clearly. Okay, then with our testing mind, with different scenarios, we try to test it, and then we again give a demo to the everyone. It is called a system demo. Okay, so the product owner, everybody, we give a system demo, and then if the product owner is satisfied, then that iteration would be completed successfully. Okay, so after the system demo is done, there would be a retrospective call. Retrospective call is nothing but the scrum master would facilitate it. Okay, scrum master will ask the team what went well, what did not go well, where we need to improve. Means we are trying to inspect ourselves as a team, what we should have been doing better. As a team, what did we do better? So all these points, as a team, we need to sit together and give it to the Scrum Master. What are the things that we can improve and deliver it successfully in the next sprint? Okay, so friends, just wanted you all to understand the terminology, like what is the how the flow goes, like after requirements, in requirements what we are doing: grooming, checkpoint call, system demo call, then the retrospective. So these are the different terms also that you need to understand. One more term please, we call it as a DSU, that is a daily stand-up call. Every day as a team, we will all get together and the Scrum Master would facilitate it, and we would be giving our status, like what did we do today, what we are going to do tomorrow. So every day we'll have a, that is only for 15 minutes, okay, 15 minutes checkpoint call. So this way we are trying to adhere to the process, know how things are going on, is any team member facing any issue, are there any risks. So every day we are updating the Scrum Master. The Scrum Master would try to resolve the issues and get it done smoothly, the delivery within 2 weeks of time. Okay, I would pause for a minute over here. Let me know if you all have understood till now what I was telling. If any clarifications required, any doubts in any of the term.
We understood step by step as you continue to explain the terminologies. But I request that can you please provide a document with this definition and explanation? Is it possible? Many terminologies new are there that we learned today. So if it is possible, please provide the statements and the explanation. That will be helpful.
Yeah, sure, we'll do it.
Yeah, thanks, Visha.
Thank you. Anybody else? Can we go ahead?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Hari, thanks Hari for sharing. So I will go ahead and share my screen, and I will give them a little bit other old models. Just before 12:30, I'll try to finish it off.
Sure, Visha. I stopped my share.
Okay, fine. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, Shweta, you have some question?
If you don't mind, if time permits, can you give the overall explanation of this in the short?
Okay.
The summary of Agile or the waterfall model?
Yeah, Agile.
Okay, sure,
Because
definitely.
we
We'll summarize
confusion with the terminology, that is the problem.
Okay, so before Hari, what I would do is like before going to the different other methodologies, let's I'll take another 5 minutes to explain it, and I'll go very slow this time. Okay, sorry friends, I don't have the slide. Actually, Hari is having that slide. Is it fine without the slide? Can I go ahead?
Yeah.
Okay, so first think first how it is happening is like, think as an event friends. Okay, it is an event only, it's a 3-day event. Okay, the first initially the product owner will have he is having in the mind that I have to develop a product. Okay, I have to develop an online shopping, so that he has in mind. So what does he do? He will put a team together. That team is nothing but a Scrum team, Scrum Master, and the product owner, and the business analyst, a developer, a tester. Okay, so all are coming together in this 3-day event. They're all planning together, they are sitting together in a room, and they are planning what all can I accomplish in 1 quarter, that is 3 months. What can we achieve together? So what they are doing is they are trying to write the requirements. How they are writing the requirements? They are trying to write it as first as an epic level, then it comes to features, then after features it comes to stories. So in this 3-day event they cannot write very detailedly the stories. Okay, they can write only at the epic level and the feature level. So they will tell, okay, this is my requirement, I want online shopping website, that is my feature epic. The features are like I want to open a branch in one location with only for the women's. The another feature is like with kids section, like that they are putting two features. Now we finished epic, we finished features, then slowly they will tell another story. Okay, in women's location, I want little bit more specialization over there. Traditional ethnic wear and western wear. That's it. They're not telling what is traditional wear detailedly, like is a traditional wear, which region's traditional wear they want it. Okay, so the stories are not detailed, only traditional wear and western wear. Till there they stop. After, so after that what they will do is like they will ask team, what is your capacity? That means how much is the capacity you have to work on this product. Okay, then if capacity is nothing but if I'm going on leave and all, I need to upfront tell the team I am having so many days of vacation. So that is what in an excel sheet they do, that is called capacity planning. Then comes, okay, then they'll try to explain the requirement for us. When they're trying to explain the requirement, that means when they're trying to explain the epic or the feature, we need to give a high level estimation. This high level estimation, how would we define it? Is like we call it as story points. Okay, these story points are nothing but we usually use a Fibonacci series, or I was telling you all about a poker point. Poker point is nothing but similar to as you play cards. Okay, everybody is given a card with a number. We need to just understand the requirement, and you need to pick from the card one number, whichever you feel that if you need one day, you will pick up the card having one. So that is poker point estimation. Okay, this is called estimation method. So on a PI planning event that is 3 days, you're just giving high level estimation. Okay, and over there only they are trying to identify risks. If somebody is going on leave, what is the mitigation that can be done? Okay, so mitigation in the sense the tester is going on leave, only the developer will develop, then how will the product go live? Go live in the sense how can we deliver the product into the market is a question. So what the developer will do, agile methodology, there is no specific tester or a developer. Developer will tell, I will test it though he is going on leave. So that way we are mitigating the risk of a person going on leave. Okay, understood what is meant by mitigation of a risk? So we are trying to discuss all these things in a 3-day event, a total event planning for 3 months of time. What are the stories that we are doing, and how it would go? Once that is done, okay, sprint one will start. Sprint one is nothing but 2 weeks of time. You need to deliver one product. That is, you need to at least design a website with one ethnic wear of region, Hyderabad. Okay, in Hyderabad, what are the traditional dresses that are worn? You need to design that website. So that they are giving us. That is your story. Now developer tester, that is that require those in 2 weeks of time, whatever requirement they are giving now, that term we call it as grooming. He's clearly telling in Hyderabad location, I want the ethnic wear traditional dress with the website. So totally the story is very clear over there. So in the grooming session, now I need to again give a detailed estimation. For this, I need at least 2 days of time as a developer. Then the QA tester will tell, I need 1 day of time. So the total story points is 3-point story. Okay, it's a 3-point story. In the grooming session, we will talk about the estimate. After this is done, the developer will sit, analyze, develop the logic, and then he will try to give it to the, he will be doing his work. Tester will be planning, okay, how does what all test cases should I write? He will be all planning and writing them in an Excel sheet. Okay, and if he uses a test management tool, he will upload into it. Now, every day we will have one status call. Okay, in the planning phase, we will have a daily stand-up. We call it as a daily stand-up. Who will facilitate? Scrum Master will facilitate. Okay, we need to tell Scrum Master, okay, today I have created a website. Okay, now I login credentials till that page I came. I did not enter the traditional wares and all, but the first login section has been implemented. Tomorrow I will work on putting the ethnic wear section into it. The tester will tell, I finished designing my test cases. I am trying to see what data, what are the different credentials, test data setup I need to do. Then like that, it goes on every day, daily stand up. So now daily stand up, you understood. After the grooming is done, they have developed and all. The developer will give a checkpoint call to the business. Okay, so that checkpoint call, he has finished his development. He's showing the website to the product, to the business UAT person. So this is what we have developed. Is it according to your requirement? Is it successful? Is the acceptance criteria meeting? If the business person agrees it, business analyst and the UAT person agrees it, then only it will go to the tester. The tester will test it, and then again the tester will give another demo, that is called a system demo. Okay, if to the product owner and to all the users. So once the system demo is successful, then only the product would be delivered into the production. Okay, and after the system demo, we will have a retrospective call. In retrospective call, it is nothing but the scrum master is facilitating it, and every team member has to tell what went well in this release. So the developer will tell, it was good learning for me, I learned to develop a website. And okay, then the tester also need to tell what went well. The tester will tell it was a good coordination between the developer and the tester. Like we had a good coordination. I learned, I sat with him and I understood how the logic is has implemented and all. So what all went well, we need to tell. Also, we should tell what did not go well. Okay, like the tester was facing 500 error all the time sometimes. So he will tell there is an environment instability. As and when I was testing, the system was hanging up. Too many traditional where at the time, I think 500 pics they have uploaded. So the server is not able to handle it. So I was getting, when I click on something, it is going 500 error. So we need to look at the environment stability, the size of the memory, something like that. So where we need to improve, what did not go well, all these things they talk in a retrospective call. This is okay. So this is the last call. Then again, sprint 2 will start. Fine, when I try to cover it, all the terms. This is one whole cycle in agile.
Understood.
Okay, thank you. So now I know I have another 2 minutes. But before closing up, can we, Hari, is it fine if I take 10 minutes and tell them the different methods that we have? Actually, Agile, we went in detail because we were using Agile, but these other techniques, we will not use them. Yeah.
Yes. So if it's fine with the participants, can we extend it by 10 minutes?
Yeah, no issue.
Yeah, no issue.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, yeah, friends. Friends, so just will tell you very quickly. There are different methodologies before Agile. Okay, the different methodologies in testing are: one is spiral model, the other one is we have RAD model. We also have V model. Okay, increment model. So like that, there are different models before the Agile has come into place. So spiral model, RAD model, and V model. Okay, now here there in spiral, what the most important thing over here is like they had some prototype in the mind. Okay, using that prototype only they developed. And over here the most important feature is, like I was telling sprints na, over here also it was one spiral, means one story was going at a time, one requirement, multiple requirements at multiple times it was going on. Over here also it was similar to Agile, but all at the time, all the stories at a time, like a spiral it used to go. And it is very costly, because over here after planning phase, before doing any implementation or anything, the risk factor is being evaluated. Like what are the risks, is the product being developed nicely, or are there any issues or anything. So that was the main thing where cost was involved a lot actually. So it is called a spiral model because if you see these blocks over here, so each requirement going in each phase, like that. This is a spiral model. Okay, RAD model is nothing but rapid application development model. Over here there were each phase is something like a model. Okay, the business model. So business requirements were put into a model. Data modeling, all the data requirements were put together. Process model, we were trying to do the processes over there. So when our testing comes, it's almost later on stage. So like this we had different models, but the most what to tell familiar in the industry is I would say waterfall model. Then V model. Means I'm talking about the old age models. Okay, um, we used to use V model and waterfall model. V model everybody used to use because it was parallel. Like whenever they did some requirement analysis, we used to do some acceptance testing, like whether the requirements are matching with the acceptance criteria, means with the UAT, the business sign off documentation or not. Every stage we used to have some documents also in place, but these all failed because the delivery to the market was not as good as in agile. So agile is a combination of all these methods put into together, and they came up with that agile process. Okay, you all can just we'll send this document. You all can just go through it. Actually, it is nobody will ask these things because it is all gone. Old days we used to use. You all need to only understand waterfall model and agile model, the spiral model, rapid application development model, V model. These are all nobody uses nowadays. These things. Iteration model is nothing but see similar to spiral model, but over here what is like all three things added together. Like this build one is nothing but one small product. Build two another small product. Build three another. So if which one is going fine, also we are not sure. Like some confusions and all were taking place. But in sprint we are not having like that. In sprint we are dedicatedly working on one particular story, and that is successfully being delivered over there. So it's similar to agile only, but as I told you all, agile has come up with combination of all these methods. Okay, iterate agile. Okay, friends. I don't want to take much of your time. I just try to tell you all at least names you all need to know. What are the different names? I don't want you all to understand exactly what are them, but I want you all to understand agile technology, agile methodology properly. These others, you at least know the names. Spiral methodology, rapid application development methodology, V model, iteration model. Okay, these are the different methodologies. Only thing in your mind, all of you all should have waterfall. Okay, before agile, what we were using? We were using waterfall methodology. Waterfall methodology is nothing but a linear sequential model. Okay, agile is a iterative model. So if these things are clear for you all are good. Okay. Yeah. Hari, I think I am good over here.
Sorry, Visha.
Yeah, I am good, Hari. I mean, I did not go in very detail for the other things.
Yeah, right, correct. We just want to focus on these two models because agile is the one which is being extensively used. And prior to that, we were mostly using waterfall models. So other models, like they are just for your reference, like there were other models which were used, but they are not that much relevant with respect to the current usage.
Yeah, Hari, one more minute, please. Just if they come across these two terms, they need to understand. Friends, you all might be sometimes hearing the terms called as, see, this is also an old method, okay? Now in Agile, we don't use it, but sometimes in QA world, they will be using these approaches. We call it as top-down approach or bottom-up approach, okay? So top-down and bottom-up approach is nothing but, okay, without having the topmost the down product or something, they simply try to deliver do the product, means try to suppose for example addition I am trying to tell you all. Okay, when I tell addition, okay, 1 plus 1 equal to 2. So I am as a product owner I am telling I don't want you all to give the input. I just want finally show the display for output as 2 for me. Okay, when So that is one thing. And the bottom up approach means I am telling now you don't show me the result as 2. You give me the software where I can input the inputs. I want to enter 1 plus 1. Output later on in next sprint you show me. But this current sprint you show me the display of entering the inputs. So these are two approaches, top down and bottom up approach, where without the in between products means in now 1 plus 1 I am doing, but I'm not showing the result at all. If not, I'm doing 2, but I'm not giving the inputs at all. So top down and bottom up, these two are the approaches where we are using some um, um, stubs and drivers. Okay, these are called stubs and drivers where the code is not placed, but we are using a dummy product over there. So I'm doing 1 plus 1, but I'm not showing the result over there. Na? So there is a dummy screen over there. We call it as a stub. Okay, when I'm displaying 2, I don't have 1 plus 1, so I'm using a program called as driver. It is a dummy product over there. Driver is simply a box over there, but there is no code written for that. So you need to understand these terms, stubs and drivers, where without having the basic thing also you can do the final result. That means there are few product owners. I means my intention of saying you all is like, there are few product owners who will tell that I don't want in between data and all. You show me the end result. So we can develop even those products also by using some drivers and stubs, which are nothing but some dummy programs or something. But at the end logic we will show. Later on we will develop this initial logic. So like this also the products will be available. Just wanted you all to have some insight on it. Yeah, Hari, yeah, that's it, Hari. Next class, we'll try to cover up on what are the different types of testing techniques, and we will try to explain how to write test cases, test plan. So we'll go actual what as a tester you need the documentation part and all the tool that we use for managing and all.
Sure. Thanks, Savisha.